And good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for this 2-minute delay. Just that we're having Nguyen was to be doing the presentation today, but the internet in Havana is not cooperating. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a very brief presentation of our first guest for today's second session of the third seminar on inteligencias colectivas, where as yesterday we looked at the panel of mobility and had Orofa do a guest lecture of a longer depth into his work. Today we have an equally a guest that for us in inteligencias colectivas is equally as inspiring and as motivating as Orofa, which is Daniele Pario Perra, with his project. He will be talking about his project of low cost design, which we have been following and seeing throughout the many years that Inteligencias Colectivas has been writing. Daniele Pario is a relational artist, researcher, and engaged designer in exhibition, research projects, and education. His work has developed in different disciplinary fields, including art, sociology, anthropology, architecture, and they're building constant relation between like material culture and symbolic capital. He has taught at different universities, and while his work is quite broad and has been presented in many different places, today he's going to be specifically talking about, as I mentioned earlier, the project Low Cost Design, which is a touring art exhibition with more than 500 pieces, and it's also be developed into two. And it's an open project in a constantly working in progress, which as we were talking yesterday when we did the introduction, very related to the spontaneous intelligence and technological capacity of individuals, no, and these logics that are applied in different specific contexts and that normally present a resistance to like homogeneous design or standardized solutions that in like more homogenized societies we are seeing. So nothing, without going any further, I'm going to thank you, Daniel, again for joining us today, and let's hope that Nguyen can connect, can come back and connect at this point. Thank you very much.
Okay, I connect my audio. You hear me?
Okay. Yes. Perfect.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Thank you very much for all. I'm really happy to take part in your project because I really like it and it's very interesting. And well, first of all, for the mother language students, Spanish mother language, I have to specify that my name, Daniele Pario Perra, fortunately in Italian has no meanings. I know exactly what does it mean in Spanish because when after one of my first conferences in CCB in Barcelona, at the end, I found 5 kids who asked me the alphagraph. they think that I am a member of the most famous punk band in Spain, that is Pario Perra, appunto, and well, it was really fun. But this is only a premises, okay? Well, second premise, we are speaking about low-cost design, and now I introduce you the platform. And now I try to share my screen. First of all, I would like to visit all of you in South America, because I really like it. And my last trip to Mexico and Cuba was 25 years ago and 20 years ago. For this reason, I'm very, very interested now to see what's happened after 25 years. And well, now, my screen, I try to share. Okay. 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 You will see. Is working?
Yes.
Okay. Now, low-cost design. Low-cost design, as we told and Lorenzo introduced, is a huge database. It's a platform, really, with many, many applications. And is a database of the spontaneous creativity. Spontaneous creativity is the attitude of people capable of changing both everyday things and economic development of their own universe for their own needs. And okay, if something doesn't work, please call me. Okay, and what? Low-cost design is a platform made by 2 books, published and diffused around the world. It's a big database with more than 20,000 pictures collecting from all around the world. Is a teaching method. Is an application, says Low-Cost Design Park, that I show you very fastly after, and live show, TED and public conferences, workshops and exhibitions. And first of all, we have to focus in of what is really the low-cost design history. We have a long history because we start in 2001, and we do working and collecting pictures around the world on the 4 corners, and looking for innovation and sustainability. This is the base of our research. We find an incredible number of examples of intangible heritage, and about the art of do it and redo it by yourself. And we collect this kind of stuff in a big archive. And after I will explain you in which way we decide to divide the different chapters of the archive. Well, and is a visual dictionary, of course, because collecting a lot of information by pictures, and all the pictures are explained and translated into languages in both the exhibition and in the books, and is a sort of X-ray of the spontaneous creativity in the 4 corners of the world, and in constantly updating by donations, by people who send pictures, and contributors in general. Well, the protagonist, because we have to speak about the people who change the use of objects and the use of the territory, modifying both by their own needs. In general, I think are people who sleep poorly at night because you need to combine in perfect harmony poetical creativity and technological skills. And in general, people who do it are people who sleep poorly in the night because their own creativity merging every time, creating new ideas, new skills, a new perception, and change point of views. Because in general are people with the capability, the capacity of an engineer and the imagination of a child. These are the 2 combinations who gives a big possibility, a great possibility to change the use of objects in the design world. And now 3 words about the exhibition. It's a traveling exhibition with more than 500 reinvented objects. And we collect these objects everywhere in the world. And we speak about the process that people that force people to invent for their own needs. After we will see about the spontaneous creativity concept at the base, no? Because we're studying the concept of what we think about spontaneous creativity. And now, exhibition, our concept of low-cost design, as is written in the PowerPoint, is not related to the idea of cheap. This is a big misunderstanding in the production world and in design world. Low cost says no cheap. For us, low cost has more meanings of the low investment, including energy, in its personal and social dimension. In other terms, is what's important, the footprint projecting design, because it's the footprint the focus, not the price or the idea of cheap. You will see here just some shot of the exhibition in which the place we did when we preparing the show. We publish on newspaper and on the street some announcement writing, have you invented new uses for everyday objects? Have you invented new objects or altered them to meet your needs? Well, bring them to the exhibition and take part to the workshops, because the workshop is the second part of the exhibition. Exhibition starts in Milan Salone Satellite, in Design Milan Week. I'm a veteran of the Milan Design Week. I have, I think, 6 editions on my back. And the first day we had 5,000 people visiting the exhibition. Only the first day. And what's impressed us was that the time that people spent inside the exhibition was more than 3 hours each, because they would like to read all the label explaining the objects and the level of transformations. You find in some pictures the label that describe the object, expose it, and well, after our perception is changed, because after the exhibition we decided to preparing a huge training program, and we start by a revelation, a sort of illumination, because I read the story. In 1954, the engineer MacGregor came old with his wife and tells her that discovering a film for coating the gun barrels and reduce the friction of the bullet. You know, Engineer Gregoire was one of the engineers of the Smith & Wesson company, a very famous company in the United States that producing guns, no? But Madame Colette, the wife, was enthusiastic, reminding him that her omelette was stuck to the pan and suggests he should find a solution. Well, inventing the Teflon. The Teflon was never used for the guns, but was used for doing more than 1 million of pots. And this is what we find really interesting in the low-cost design database, because after that we decided to create a huge program of consulants and masters and workshops for companies, and we decide to give all the information of our database to make available for companies to produce new ideas for their own needs, for their own projects. And we start with many editions of low-cost design master. After we preparing a special program for schools, in which we ask to the students, what is missing in your neighborhood, what is missing in your city? And after the help and the amount of inspiration comes from the low-cost design database, asking to the students to projecting what is missing in your neighborhood, what is missing in your city. And after we have another edition in what is missing in your house. And we decide also to work with juniors and creating the low-cost design park, and after more than 200 workshops, we decided to produce the low-cost design park. That is a park, a playground designed by children for children, and is made with a pyramid of tires, tunnel with drums, house dumpster, and glass dumpster transformed in house and school, and in many objects for a playground. And this was introduced and presented in my third edition of the Salone Internazionale del Mobile. And after, we decided to have a program also for university, and we decided to invent or reinvent a workshop, says Imagination Save the Plannings. The first edition was in TU Delft when I was taught there, in TU Delft, Rotterdam. And at university, we asked the student to invent and create a new settlement in 36 hours. And another time, maybe I will introduce the results. Was a very, very interesting experience. But now we go inside, we go through the low-cost design database, and here you will find a little list of links. First of all, we relate all the pictures we find to the 5 questions of who, where, when, what, and why, with the concept of identity and sociology, with the fields of architecture and design, geopolitics, and a special section of the archive is connected with the study of the territory, the customs, and moreover, the last part is based on the analysis of the patents in relationship with the geopolitics. And is all okay? Is working? You hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you.
All starts in 2002. I was in Volcano Island. I have a house in marvelous island, says Aeolian. And my former girlfriend decided to make the coffee with the steamy iron, and was for me a sort of shock, because she finished the gas of the bomb, and in Ireland you have not the gas from the municipality, but you have the gas from bombs, no? And when the gas finished, she turned the steamy iron, she put the coffee machine, the mocha coffee machine, on the top, and we have a coffee. And I became astonished after this change of use of the steamy iron and this change of perception and way to producing coffee. And after 1 year ago, traveling 30,000 miles apart, I found the same object. Another person who did the coffee on an iron, not a steamy as the first. And analyzing the difference, I found that the only difference between these two objects was the coffee pot. In one case is the mocha, typical from producing coffee in the West, and the other kind is a hibrik, this typical from producing Arabian coffee on the eastern part of the world. And in presence of the same needs, two people distant and 3,000 miles and have the same idea and the same reaction in presence of the same needs. Probably my former girlfriend didn't know this man, I hope, and they produced the same design project. And I'm starting after studying the Bell theorem that says that we are particles separated at birth, and we communicate at superliminal speed, introducing an exchange with us ideas. And I suggest you to look and to go into the Bell theorem, because it's very interesting. Moreover, when he spoke about the 101 monkey theory, and maybe in design give a new perception. And what's the most big difficult in the low-cost design archive was to describe, to decide in which way structuring the archive. And we decided to preparing 5 levels of the objects. The first one is elementary, the second developed, the third optimized, the fourth elaborate, and the 5 complete. But the most important thing is that the level 5, which is the most important, includes simple objects that solve the most complete needs. Is an example of the short circuit of the human intuition, because it's more important to find simple things that solve a complex problem, not vice versa. And for this reason, we decided that the level 5 was the most important part of the archive, because it really represents the short circuit of the human intuition. And now the second part of the archives is divided in action, because we separate objects from action on the territories. And we have here 6 different semantic categories. And the first one is creative commerce. After we have private territorial planning, that is one of the most interesting, also because a sort of contradiction. And social and commercial communication, interaction between public and private, that is full of inspiring ideas to combine public and private projects. Personal security and control of the territory, and solutions to the shortcoming of the public services. 2 words about, before to start showing you some pictures, because all the low-cost design project give us a great opportunity to discover the most important things, that there is no difference between South and North in terms of creativity. There's no difference between poor and rich. To simplify, I say poor and rich, of course. But there is no difference only in South or among the poor of the world. Creativity is aimed to solving the lack of primary service and goods and needs. At the contrary, in rich peoples and the northern part of the world, concentrate their own spontaneous creativity to solve problems connecting to the second needs, not the primary one, and to the free time in general. But what's important for me to discover is that the quantity of the spontaneous creativity is absolutely equal. Change only the address, the objective of the spontaneous creativity. Primary needs in one side, secondary needs in the other one. And this is very important because, well, is an example that design is really democratic and projecting is really democratic. Okay, now we go inside the level 1, simple objects that change the use from the initial design and enhance the functionality of the previous project. Very, very simple. We have a T-shirt, cover an outboard motor to conceal the logo and avoid theft. Nobody stole what they don't, are things impossible to see, because is directly different, is directly in opposition to the concept of stolen. You don't steal one thing that you don't see. After, another example, level 2. We start perceiving a greater development and design and broader market application. Well, floats buoys, floats and exactly rubber saucer balls transformed in floats by fishermen. It's really not expensive and it works perfectly and is better than the styrene and all the chemical derivatives that sometimes they use as floats. Third level. Here we find a change of the original function, but we start in seeing the capacity for abstraction and symbolization by the spontaneous creative and the spontaneous designer. Well, first one. This is a diving basket transformed in an eye protector for chopping onions. It is a very simple way to don't cry. And together with my students, many times we reflect on what's the potentiality of this object in the market, for example. Because I don't know if you know, but only in Italy, people who work in restaurants are close to 80,000 to 18,000 miles, and 18,000 people. A lot of people working in restaurants, And in the market, it's impossible to find an object as this, a diving mask transformed in eye protector. You need to buy an eye protector in the hardware shop, the common one, but not specified for cooking. And I think that is a nice suggestion also. Another example, here we have some newspaper used for collecting dust on the sideboards. And the idea is based on the hygroscopic expansion of the paper, because the paper imprisons the dust, and by drying, the dust does not fall and remain inside the newspaper. This is an idea that we find that 82 years old woman suggested to us, and well, I think is working perfectly and is a perfect combination of recycling and new use, a new concept about a simple newspaper. We go to level 4 now. Elaborated objects reveal the first signs of interdisciplinary design and give us something that is not equivalent to a technically more complex machine, but a device that solves more complex needs through an imaginative approach. And well, you find it's a condom, of course, and why people use condom in playing tennis? It's very easy, because condom is made with the best latex quality, and is of course hypoallergenic and avoids blisters on tennis players' hands. And many tennis players remove it before, for example, the television broadcast and before the match, but they use it in many cases. And an example, another one, is an anti-snoring T-shirt. It's a very simple object that when one wears the T-shirt and turns on belly up and snore, it feels the discomfort of the ball on the back and turns in supine position. We find dozens of solutions as this one to stop snoring, moreover created by wives, and because I don't know if you know, but snoring is one of the most important cases of separations between couples, and well, and we find close to 12 different ways to anti-snoring system. Another one, for example, for the first part of the 19th century was to put a potato in the back pocket of the pajamas to get the same results. People seems a bad feelings in that position and turns and stops snoring. Now we're entering level 5, sorry, that, as I told you, is contains the most important, the most simple object who solve the most important needs, and is inversely proportional to the importance of the task of the functional performer. This is a level that I really like because, okay, here you will find the 2 coffee pots we've spoken before, and we find more than 22 different ways to produce coffee without flame, and with newspaper, with reflex, with Fresnel lens on the beach, in many different ways. And for example, let me introduce a very interesting method. This is a psychological anti-parking system. It's a traffic cone which hangs on the car and is used by the owner of a stall inside of a personal stall inside the parking to avoid the possibility to park the car by other people, and works in a psychological way because no man wants an object leaning against the windscreen of his own car. This is very interesting because people don't want it. And with these simple objects, they have also the possibility to save money on the building insurance because there are no obstacles on the floor that could cause maybe injuries to the people who's working in the parking. And you know that in terms of cost of insurances, if you reduce the risk you reduce also the cost of the insurance itself. And I think it's very interesting also with this other object we find, there is a tennis ball and a piece of chain, and is a creation of opener for dogs. Your dog is completely independent, in this case at home, with the possibility to open and close the door as you like. And here, another very interesting system, we find this practice in general in all the northern part of the world, and moreover in Scandinavian or in, for example, in the northern part of Germany and Switzerland. And is a system for feeding small birds only, and not corks, not seal, and not pigeons. It's a simple piece of net with some piece of bread, and works in a very interesting ways, because large birds, such for example pigeons and crows, has not the possibility, because when they climb to the net trying to eat, they turn upside down, and this the birds has not the possibility to eat upside down. For this reason, this 84 years old woman describe us this kind of practice, makes also a sort of is an example of Darwinian natural selection done in a spontaneous way, and this practice can regularize also the presence of urban birds and connected with and solve maybe the problem connected to the problems connected to the high number of crows, pigeons, and seal present in many cities. And well, now this is another example, very fun, and I described this one also in my TED some years ago, because it's a potato, and you need to rub on the windscreen to solve the problem of the wiper's brake. Because when the wipers break, the truck drivers gets off of the vehicle and cuts the potato into parts, spreads it on the windshield, and the drops. Thanks to the potato starch, there is a very important chemical things flow down the drops without remaining on the glass, and the visibility becomes better. And becoming better, the visibility, the truck driver has the possibility to drive ahead till the first gasoline station, for example, looking for a way to repair the wiper's brake. And it's a very simple way to solve a big problem, moreover, if you need to work. And, well, 2 words about the action on the place. And the chapter, as I told you, are creative commerce, private territorial planning, social and commercial communication, interaction between public and private, personal security and control of the territory, and solutions to the shortcoming of public services. Starting with some ideas that are, well, the full set of this kind of experience show us the big stratifications of the layer of the people comes from the territory and change part of it. At the base is an analysis of the stratification of the process, and the same stratification is inexhaustible, is continuous. And this is very interesting because give us also the possibility to analyze both historically and the borders of design, what's happened on the territory, only seeing our territory in a different way, with another point of view, and probably with another way to see. And, well, the first chapter groups together the action of the social groups who plan and produce work in public space. Many times when we speak about private territorial planning, we speak about a sort of contradiction, because private cannot plan the territory in which they live. Maybe they contribute, but what we find is that when private people trying to projecting something and plan something on the territory, they did not for themselves only. They did this for a community, a communal use. Maybe they don't put a chair in a bus stop, but they put in the bus stop 5 chairs, for example, to make possible that the community take part on this process, and the bus stop will be comfortable for more people than one. Here, for example, we have some doors, some social goal painted on a church gates. This one shows us that, of course, we are in a city center, and of course, in the city center, children has no spaces to play, has no play garden, they have not green space when play. And for this reason, they become the owner of the square, in this case. And now another example, we're working a lot in creative commerce, analyzing the creative commerce in all the southern part of the Mediterranean area. Spent a lot of time with this kind of seller, and we have also a documentary film on it, filmed in Sicily, documenting their practice, the practice of the street vendors selling in this part of Italy, and was really interesting because reveal a world completely hidden to our eyes, and full of new ideas. And another pictures. And now, interaction between planning and private design. This is probably the most important chapter because reveal to us that it's possible to be inspired vice versa between private and public design to solve many problems about public services, and moreover to give to the public design a private vision, and moreover to change the services. And first example, this is a garbage bin. It's a garbage bin installed by private citizen on a public land, but this is very important, regularly emptied by the city's garbage workers. And I interviewed the garbage workers, the garbage men, and to understand what kind of collaboration inspiring this practice. And they told me that since he started regularly empty the bin installed by private individual, he no longer finds garbage outside the bins throughout the neighborhood. And this is very, very important because it's an example of collaboration. You help me, I help you. And in terms of public service, he told me that he spent a lot of time, he saves a lot of time in his job. We can imagine this kind of collaboration between private and public, how much money give the possibility to save by the public services. And this is another example. It's a mailbox attached to a road sign to save the postman the trouble, because it's a trouble sometimes, of entering side street to deliver the ordinary mail, not the private, the personal mail, but the ordinary one. And also at the same time, when I interviewing this the postman, and we reflected together about we can imagine the saving in terms of time, fuel and transport for the postal system applying this method. For example, in rural area, of course, not in the city center, in which we have not this kind of problem, but this inspired us a lot. And another section, personalized solution to the shortcoming of public service, of course, is the biggest one, because many people working in this way to solve many problems. And we find, for example, a self-built roundabout to prevent accident and intersection. This was what created, built by the people lives in the neighborhoods, because they want to prevent the accident. And the municipality need a lot of time to do. But at the same time, the municipality does not destroy it, because it is useful until they give the authorization to build a regular one. This is a temporary, made by people, but it's working. And well, social and commercial communication. This part of the research is dedicated to private people use objects and transform objects in something close to a non-textual communication vehicle. And we are spoken about unwritten law, but understandable to all. And people use objects as a symbolic vehicle. For example, as in this way, the yellow ribbon in all the United States is a way to showing that a family member is at the front in the army, for example. And is a sort of code, a common code about unwritten law, but understandable by all. And well, last section, and we are close to finish. And the last section is based on personal security and control of the territory, because we found that it is a very important thing by the people to control the territory, both legally and illegally practice. And we find hundreds of examples. I show you just one, and just two probably. And it's a vanity mirror at the street corner to monitor the arrival of the police. And this, of course, this practice is made by a pusher. And you want to control place, but maybe we can be inspired by a bad example to produce a new way to control the territory, inspired by bad practices and transforming in a good practice. And well, now we finished. And I come back to the camera. Okay, probably is working. Just a second. No. Okay. Okay, can you see me? Okay, now, well, I don't know how many minutes we have, but maybe we are here to speak about it.
You have still a bit more of time if you like, eh? Like there's still...
well, I did a short introduction because, well, at the country of, well, it's very difficult to find 10 pictures in an archive of 20,000, and well, it's better in this way. Maybe
Okay.
it's boring.
No, perfect. Thank you.
And well, I don't know what's happened now, but sorry.
Sorry, Daniele, if you don't mind, the way we've been sort of to keep things a bit more flowing. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. Looking a lot forward to see the questions coming now. But the way we've been doing it usually is that we do this presentation. Now we go with the later 3 shorter presentations, and then we do a final open panel of questions for everyone. Is that okay with you?
Okay, I only have a timing problem. Only I need to know which time, because I have my work, and that's...
Yeah, it will be like now, like from now, half an hour maximum, like 10.
Half an hour is okay. Perfect. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you. Nguyen, should we try and you to see if you can now, if the internet is on your favor? I don't think so. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. Well, now we move on to the second part of the day. For me, it's painful that Nguyen's internet is not working, because we've worked a lot shoulder to shoulder on this, and specifically this second part, he had been coordinating from there. So for me, it's a bit sad that the internet once again is not helping us, as I think he would have a lot to say in what's happening. But well, I'm going to go ahead. Now we have 3 brief presentations. The idea of these panels are just to give insight to 3 very, in general, we try that they're very far apart projects, platforms, individuals working in different spheres, in different purposes, but that in some vectors, their practices or projects are connecting. And today specifically through the through the topic of resilience. Resilience understood as a way of continuing existing, and as a way of resistance to the environment in order for one's own survival. It's more strict terminology of the word, and we'll be looking at three different profiles. On one part, Angela Laxami, who's a psychologist and an activist. She's one of the coordinators of Abriendo Brechas de Colores and co-director of Cuir magazine. Cuir is a magazine created in 2019 for the empowerment of the LGBTIQ community in Havana, and based on the information focused on the reality and needs. Well, I think it's very interesting that as the community in different places are encountering are in constant repression or in constant inequality in face of the rest of society. It's interesting how in the Cuban context this community learn how this community is dealing with their current reality. Then we'll have Ramón Aguirre, who's architect by the National Autonomous University from Mexico and the professor at the Autonomous University of Benito Juárez in Oaxaca. His research has focused on the design of Mexican adobe and brick vaults and systems regional constructive. Since 2007, he's a member of the Ibero-American network Perra, and he works in the company of Arcilla y Architektura, so he will be giving a more approach to a very architecture-specific technical aspect of that's contributing to resilience and the work they're doing in Cuba now with these techniques that they have been developing. And finally, who unable to be in person, but that I think is going to be through an audio because he's also having problems with the connection, is Manuel Antonio Iturralde-Vinent. He's a doctor in geological science and senior researcher and professor at the CUJAE. And then, he's like a National Award of Science of Cuba and member of its Science Academy. He's a general paleontology and president of the Cuban Society of Geology. As a fun fact that I've always found curious of Manuel is that he's the person that's discovered more dinosaur fossils in Cuba. And I think with this we can move ahead and start with Angela Laxami.
Lo siento, ahora sí. ¿Me escuchan ahora? Es que nunca había usado esta plataforma, entonces soy nueva. Laxmi, Nguyen me invitó acá a hablar de la experiencia de Cuir, la revista que codirijo con mi colega Susana Hernández Martín. En este marco de hablar de la resiliencia, en este caso supongo que de la comunidad LGBT acá en Cuba y la experiencia más concreta de Susana y mía y también del resto del colectivo. La revista nació de una necesidad que teníamos de decir cosas y más concretamente de producir información que no existía para la gente LGBTIQ+ en Cuba. No solo información que se refiriera a contar qué es lo que está pasando ahora o una noticia en específico, sino también información que tuviera que ver con el bienestar y la construcción de las identidades de las personas LGBTIQ+. Entonces, la revista empezó como un blog de Abriendo Brechas de Colores, que es un proyecto amigo con el que aún trabajamos, y enseguida nos dimos cuenta de que ese formato se quedaba muy por debajo de las necesidades y las expectativas que nosotras teníamos. Además, la mayoría de los temas que tratábamos allá eran de corte socioteológico, y esa era solo una de las aristas que nos interesaba hablar, o sea, no era la única. Nosotras nos cuestionamos durante un tiempo, al comenzar, si estábamos capacitadas para empezar una revista. Susana era periodista, pero sin experiencia en la gestión de una revista, y yo, siendo psicóloga clínica de hecho, sentía que era un área que me quedaba un poco lejos, no tenía experiencia. Sin embargo, ya nosotras habíamos trabajado juntas, primero en el Centro Nacional de Educación Sexual, un centro estatal, y luego en este proyecto Abriendo Brechas de Colores habíamos lanzado en 2018 una campaña que se tituló Todos los derechos para todas las familias, y entonces ya nos conocíamos, ya teníamos una dinámica de trabajo que nos gustaba, que teníamos objetivos, intereses, incluso principios muy similares, y nos lanzamos a hacer la experiencia de Q, que es como le decimos cariñosamente. Cuir nació en abril de 2019 y escogimos Medium como la plataforma principal porque es muy fácil de trabajar y tiene una visualidad que nos gusta, aunque en la medida en que la revista ha ido creciendo, ha sido difícil quedarse ahí. Tenemos otras expectativas, por ejemplo, de los formatos que queremos trabajar, y cada vez sentimos más que en algún punto habrá que moverse, ¿no? Nosotros producimos una revista en formato PDF y ahora mismo estamos centrándonos en ese formato, no solo porque nos gusta, sino también porque puede llegar a un público, digamos, amplio, y que acá en Cuba sabemos el tema que es difícil tener los recursos para la conexión a internet, o sea, es bastante limitado, no es para todo el mundo. Y entonces con la revista en PDF, pues nosotras logramos que mucha gente, bueno, pues pueda consumir los contenidos offline. Estamos muy centradas en poder establecer y sostener una frecuencia de publicación y, bueno, y consolidar mejor los contenidos que tenemos. Nosotras todo el tiempo insistimos en que Q es una revista para personas LGBT, pero sobre todo hecha desde personas LGBTIQ+. Es un espacio para que las personas con sexualidad y géneros no hegemónicas hablen de sus vidas desde sus propias voces, desde sus propias narrativas, porque sabemos que ha habido una tendencia hegemónica a que nuestras vidas sean contadas desde una posición, digamos, cis-centrada, heterocentrada, y bueno, pues nosotras estábamos insistiendo en que fuéramos la propia comunidad quienes nos narráramos y quienes defendiéramos, bueno, qué derechos necesitábamos. Entonces, nosotras no descartamos las colaboraciones de aliadas, de personas aliadas, y de hecho trabajamos con varias que tienen sensibilidad con estos temas. A nosotras, entonces nos interesa el empoderamiento de las personas LGBTIQ+, que son nuestro público meta, nuestra razón de ser, y tratamos por todos los medios de tener allí una información que se centre en su realidad y sus necesidades. Nosotras estamos totalmente parcializadas por los derechos de la comunidad LGBTIQ+, es decir, a nosotros no nos interesa una objetividad que cuestione nuestro bienestar ni nuestra dignidad como seres humanos. Esto lo digo porque a veces en los proyectos, digamos, periodísticos, es difícil trabajar desde una zona de no neutralidad. Pero bueno, nosotras también estamos alejándonos de ese formato. O sea, ahora mismo no nos vemos como una revista periodística porque estamos insistiendo en no serlo para que la gente hable como pueda y como quiera, a través de notas, de reportajes, de comentarios, a través de la literatura, desde el arte, que la gente se exprese qué necesita, qué quiere y cómo está la gente LGBTIQ+. Entonces, trabajamos por crear y dar voz a referentes positivos. Esa es, digamos, una parte fundamental y crucial, quizás es lo que más nos lanzó a este proyecto, porque parte importante de que pudiéramos recuperarnos, ganar en herramientas, en redes de apoyo, en autoestima, en la misma resiliencia también, tiene que ver con tener referentes, con tener personas que puedan servir de ejemplo, que puedan servir de apoyo. Y en ese sentido, nosotras estamos todo el tiempo tratando de mostrar personas que puedan ser ejemplos, que no solo cuenten la parte, digamos, de la discriminación, la parte del dolor, sino también la parte que tiene que ver con la resiliencia, con la resistencia, con los mecanismos que han logrado desarrollar. Mostramos a personas que quizás tienen éxito en diferentes ámbitos de la sociedad para que, por ejemplo, las personas trans que muchas veces acá son retratadas de los medios en general en las situaciones de marginación y discriminación o ligados solamente a la prostitución, que bueno, son problemáticas, pero que también necesitan ver que hay personas trans que están digamos, en otros lugares, que han logrado ciertos éxitos y que se sienten bien en otros lugares, digamos, que la sociedad privilegia, digamos, carreras como la medicina, por ejemplo, que es uno de los trabajos que hicimos. Entonces, eso, dar referentes positivos que sirvan como inspiración y que sirvan como validación para quienes han sido discriminados históricamente sobre la base del género y la sexualidad. En ese sentido, además, a nosotras nos interesa que el financiamiento que recibimos, que recibe la revista de la Fundación Sueca para los Derechos Humanos desde que iniciamos, pues que sea un financiamiento que se pueda convertir en ingresos para las personas LGBTQ+, a través de estas colaboraciones. Yo creo que por ahora eso es todo, si está bien.
Muchísimas gracias, Ángela. Nada, seguimos para mantener un poco el ritmo de la tarde. Seguimos ahora, creo, con Ramón Aguirre.
Correcto, muchas gracias por la invitación, por la apertura que están teniendo en Cuba, en todo el mundo y compartiendo de esta manera tan simple. Yo les voy a hablar de la experiencia, a lo mejor salgo del contexto, porque es parte de arquitectura, de lo que he estado desarrollando en los últimos años en Cuba principalmente, y esta resiliencia de lo que han seguido haciendo la gente cotidiana, la común y corriente, la que no, más bien los que construyen. Entonces, pues es la manera de compartir lo que en el 2004 se inició como algo, una idea, y que paulatinamente se ha ido concretando. Entonces, voy a compartir mi pantalla, a ver si se puede.
Abajo a la derecha, ¿no?
Abajo a la derecha. ¿Cierto? Es una plataforma que me ha usado, entonces a lo mejor voy a dar unos segundos en que se active mi pantalla.
Está resultando.
¿Sí?
Sí. Pero ahora nos vemos nosotros. Tienes que ver, buscar el...
Sí. Ok, buscar.
¿Qué quieres presentar? ¿Un PDF o qué?
Un PowerPoint, sí.
Ya, es que yo creo que estás compartiendo el programa equivocado. Tienes que compartir el programa, o sea, la aplicación o la ventana.
Déjame ver salir.
Perdón, tienes que detener la presentación y volver a presentar y escoger ventana.
Ok, abro la presentación.
Sí, tienes que abrir la presentación en tu ordenador, tu computador.
Sí.
Luego tienes que detener la presentación que estás haciendo en Google Meet, volver a la reunión.
Entonces ahorita
Detener.
esta presentación.
Exacto, haz clic ahí donde estás, ahí mismo en ese botón, donde estás presentando. Exacto. Y ahora vuelve a presentar y escoge la opción ventana.
Entonces, aquí.
Exacto. Y en ventana, escoges el PowerPoint, el programa PowerPoint.
Charlas. Perdón.
¿Encuentras dónde está, Ramón?
O sea, lo que veo ahí es la pantalla de ustedes.
Sí.
Y no veo el PowerPoint, lo que tenía ya prendido.
Quizás lo cerraste. Tienes que ir al programa, al PowerPoint y abrir la presentación
Perdón, ¿eh?
en tu computadora. Tiene que estar abierta para poder compartirlo.
A ver ahí. ¿En mi pantalla?
No, de momento no. Una vez que esté abierto el programa PowerPoint, tienes que volver a la reunión en Google Meet e ir al botón presentar ahora, el que está abajo a la derecha. Exacto, y ahí escoger, exacto. Y ahora tienes que darle pantalla completa y estamos. Al PowerPoint.
Arribita a la izquierda.
Ahí.
Sí, es abajo a la derecha. Perfecto, ese mismo. Ese mismo.
Ah, también.
Ahí mismo.
Eso es. ¿Me escuchan?
Sí.
Correcto. Bueno, pues les comentaba que he tratado de hacer durante estos años una manera de compartir de una manera muy simple, en el cual el conocimiento se comparte de una manera horizontal. En este caso, yo sé que lo que he desarrollado durante estos 25 años, construyendo, investigando y tratando de potencializar todo lo que es el sistema constructivo tan simple como son las bóvedas, el no depender de ningún material combustible para construir. Y por eso enfatizo hoy en una construcción que es una casa de adobe que se realizó en Oaxaca después de los terremotos, y fue la propuesta de nosotros de integrar a la sociedad, a las mismas personas, a las señoras principalmente, que fueron las que se encargaron de hacer los adobes, y después con grupos, con invitados, desarrollamos las casas. Entonces el sistema constructivo coincide o está obligado a que resista a los terremotos y se construya con materiales locales. Y todo esto es a partir de un sistema constructivo que trabaja a partir de la forma. Podemos ver del lado izquierdo unas láminas, si le ponemos peso, estas se irían hacia abajo, pero esta misma lámina, si la invertimos y ponemos unos elementos a los lados para que soporten peso, pues por la pura forma va a soportar una cubierta. No va a necesitar ningún elemento adicional, ningún elemento combustible, ni metal, acero, ni concreto. Simplemente ladrillos colocados a partir de arcos y que podemos sostenerlos, ya sea con elementos perimetrales que contengan ese arco o a veces con tensores. Pero que la forma sea la parte esencial para que esto se sostenga. Abajo podemos ver un ejemplo.
Disculpa, Ramón, no estamos viendo la segunda diapositiva.
¿Aquí la ven?
Yo no la veo. No sé si alguien más...
Es que tiene que apretar a presentación.
Sí, tienes que expandir la presentación, o sea, poner la pantalla completa con el botón que está abajo a la derecha del PowerPoint.
Sí, eso es lo que... Yo la estoy viendo completa.
En tu ordenador, claro, pero nosotros no sé por qué. ¿Alguien sabe?
Quizás puedes probar
Lorenzo,
arriba a la izquierda.
Lorenzo, ¿no tienes
Dígale.
tú una copia de la presentación o alguien? Y así ustedes la van pasando y él sigue conversando.
Yo no tengo. Pero vamos, que yo creo que si le das ahí al botón de presentación, abajo ahí a la derecha, y luego vas pasando con la flecha.
A ver, otra vez. Estoy en presentación.
Ramón,
Sí, te escucho.
tienes que darle abajo a la derecha, debajo de Oscar Hagerman. ¿Lo ves?
Sí.
En la imagen ahí a la derecha hay un botón. Le tienes que dar ahí, le tienes que hacer clic a ese botón.
Sí, así lo... A ver, ahí. Ahí se ve.
No, ahora no se ve nada. Te has salido de la presentación.
Qué bárbaro. Presento. A ver, otra vez.
A ver.
Es que lo que veo es a ustedes.
Sí, es que ahora tienes que darle a compartir, tienes que darle a presentar ahora y a compartir abajo a la derecha, Ramón.
Ay, es que la que tengo de fondo es la de ustedes.
Ramón, tú abajo en la pestaña, ¿ves dónde pone presentar ahora?
¿Tú estás viendo mi pantalla ahorita?
No, no estamos viendo tu pantalla desde hace un rato, desde que ibas a darle ahí a...
A ver, voy a poner la ventana para que veamos dónde estamos todos.
Claro, ahí, esa es donde tienes que estar. Y ahí en la ventana donde nos vemos todos,
Sí.
tienes que darle a donde pone presentar ahora, en la parte de abajo. Si mueves el mouse hacia abajo, pone presentar ahora, como lo hiciste antes.
A ver. Sí. Compartir.
Presentar ahora. ¿Sí o compartir?
Ajá. ¿Y abajo dónde?
Ramón,
Dime.
¿qué estás viendo?
Ahorita los veo a todos ustedes.
Vale, entonces coges,
Y abajo.
tienes que ir con el mouse a la parte de abajo de la pantalla.
Y dice tu pantalla completa, una ventana, una pestaña.
No, ¿dónde le has dado antes para compartir la pantalla? Tienes que ir a hacer lo mismo que has hecho antes porque se ha salido tu pantalla.
Dice compartir una ventana.
Ya, eso está bien. Ahí hay que compartir,
Pues no.
sí, ahí tiene que compartir o la pantalla completa o el PowerPoint. Ahí buscas la presentación.
¿Me lo ven?
Sí,
Va a salir.
y ahora Quizás lo dejamos así
A
nomás
ver.
y la agrandas un poco más.
Ahí.
Porque la idea es, ahora, quizás arriba a la izquierda puedes apretar la presentación. Ahí sí se ve.
Bueno,
Ya.
sí, esta es. ¿Ahí se ve la segunda diapositiva?
Sí.
Bueno, si quieren la comparto así de momento porque...
Sí, sigue nomás.
¿Lo están viendo?
Sí, sí, se ve, Ramón, puedes continuar, se ve perfecto, gracias.
Disculpen, ¿eh? Bueno, por lo pronto ahorita la pongo así. Entonces les comentaba que la forma de es a partir de respetar un sistema constructivo y que la parte medular de todo esto son los arcos. Entonces, trato de que sea a partir de la forma que esto se sostiene. Pues les comentaba que había hecho un taller primero en el 2004 en Santiago de Cuba, en el cual a partir de capacitar a los albañiles o a veces técnicos que nunca habían tenido ninguna experiencia en este sistema constructivo, ellos tendrían que apropiarse del proceso y que lo pudieran replicar después. Estos son los primeros maestros, albañiles que hicieron la primera bóveda y después con los técnicos probamos que podíamos estar arriba y que por la pura forma y con el material que ellos tenían se iba a sostener. Después con el tiempo recibí una fotografía que me alegró mucho, en el cual ellos le habían dado continuidad, la casa la habían terminado, se había comportado muy bien cuando fueron los huracanes y esto permitió darle seguimiento a otros proyectos que les había planteado que pudiéramos recuperar primero los hornos. Sin embargo, esto fue en Santo Espíritu, sin embargo, mandaron a técnicos y en ese momento se detuvo toda esta dinámica porque lo que necesitamos era capacitar a la gente, no a los técnicos, a los que diseñan, sino a la gente que en realidad lo pudiera replicar después. Entonces, regresamos unos años después con un proyecto del PNUD por parte que coordinaba el arquitecto Rosendo Mesía, y ahora sí fue trabajar directamente con los albañiles, con los obreros, los que específicamente se dedican a la construcción. Entonces empezamos a practicar con arcos que se hacían en sitio y en el cual lo íbamos, les iba explicando cómo se podía sostener simplemente a partir de la forma. Hicimos diferentes tipos de bóvedas. La primera fueron unas de pañuelo. Tuvimos que colocar unas guías para que tuvieran una geometría perfecta y en el cual íbamos capacitando ya directamente, ahora sí, a todos los albañiles en sitio. También hicimos otras bóvedas de cañón, el cual en esta vivienda estamos tratando de desarrollar y que viéramos que se iba a continuar todos estos sistemas constructivos. Entonces queríamos un ejemplo de una vivienda terminada. Y ahora ya teníamos otro tipo también de maestros que iban aprendiendo. Ya habíamos capacitado a 3 primero en Santiago y después en Guantánamo. Después regresamos a Trinidad. También este proyecto fue más completo porque estaba ya la estructura de una casa y lo único que hicimos fue adaptar las vigas, las traves para soportar las bóvedas, y esto nos permitió, a tener una vivienda ya terminada, poder enseñarles a sacar pinturas, con la tierra y pudimos incluso acabar muy bien también la parte exterior. Después nos fuimos a Camagüey. Esto fue un taller ya más elaborado, con bóvedas más complejas, porque paulatinamente lo que habíamos pedido es que los albañiles que habían tomado un curso pudieran repetir y de tal manera pudieran ir agarrando más experiencia. Aquí lo podemos ver en este detalle del lado derecho, en el cual incluso pudieran ya girar los ladrillos a 270 grados apoyados sobre la viga, en el cual pudiéramos hacer ya figuras un poquito más complejas. Podemos ver otra vista, ahora en el otro sentido, cómo este pasillo se va integrando y después se abre con una gran bóveda. Aquí cuidábamos mucho en las pendientes para sacar el agua, también en la recuperación del agua en el perímetro, y quedando como tarea que se impermeabilizara esta cubierta como lo habían hecho en Santiago de Cuba, de tal manera que fuera a partir de un proceso constructivo que se estaban apropiando ellos y no tener ningún elemento adicional de estos materiales combustibles, como lo que representaba la varilla y el concreto, pudiéramos tener estructuras resistentes bueno, principalmente a los terremotos de los huracanes. Entonces hicimos unas bajadas de agua con mucha pendiente y solamente quedaba con la tarea que después se impermeabilizara. Esto, como vemos, ha sido un proceso de varios años en el cual lo que hemos tratado de hacer es capacitar a la gente para que después ellos puedan replicar estos sistemas constructivos, se empoderen de un material que ellos manejan y de esa manera pudieran apropiarse y poder hacer viviendas dignas con más altura y que se comportaran muy bien, sobre todo en los huracanes. Entonces, esto ha sido la experiencia en Cuba, acá en Oaxaca, en México y en otros lugares. También ha sido este proceso de este impacto social que lo que pretendemos es que la gente aprenda, más bien recupere los sistemas constructivos tradicionales y se dé cuenta del potencial que tiene, no es tanto que aprendan, sino que ellos recuperen algo que de alguna manera han tratado de borrarnos de nuestro ADN, de nuestra memoria, y que se puede tener viviendas dignas a partir de trabajar con los materiales locales. Entonces, hemos desarrollado los talleres con la gente, con estudiantes, gente local con estudiantes, de tal manera que podamos ir creciendo estos sistemas constructivos a partir de este empoderamiento. Por ejemplo, este es otro taller que desarrollamos en Brasil, ahora con estudiantes en la universidad, de tal manera que puedan ver diferentes tipos de bóvedas durante 15 días y se vemos los ejemplos que se pueden desarrollar y también comprobamos que resisten, ¿no? Como estamos al final, una parte de los estudiantes arriba. A veces me toca desarrollar, por ejemplo, es la casa de la señora Judith, la que hace quesos aquí en mi pueblo, y también hacer vivienda con esa dignidad, sin importar que tenga o no tenga recursos. Puse esta cita de Mario Benedetti, porque tarde o temprano nos damos cuenta o entendemos que tenemos estos sistemas constructivos que con añoranza recordamos que algún abuelito, alguno de nuestros papás vivía en una casa así. Judith me pedía que quería tener una casa de adobe. Tardó 7 años en hacerla, sin embargo, lo utilizó y este es el resultado. Vivienda también de interés social en la ciudad, en la capital de México, en los segundos techos, las segundas plantas, como a veces podemos hacer también este tipo de vivienda, respetando que las construcciones son en un lugar densamente poblado. Y pues es una bodega de mezcal, con tequila, es un vino que se hace con agave. Entonces desarrollamos 12 bóvedas en un sótano para hacer esta bodega de vino. Esta es otra casa, un nautilus, que a partir de la geometría sagrada podemos desarrollar este tipo de viviendas. No necesariamente tienen que ser ortogonales. La única virtud que tiene que tener este sistema constructivo es que estén traslapados, cuatrapeados, que tengan un sobrecimiento con la parte de abajo, y arriba aquí una viga de concreto para recibir la bóveda. Se puede manipular a diferentes alturas, en cambio de planos, a partir de tangentes, como lo vemos aquí, que son estos círculos, los muros de adobe y unos acabados de cal, que son los ideales para estas construcciones con tierra. O podemos también tener otras construcciones de tapia pisada, donde podemos combinar diferentes tipos de sistemas constructivos. En este caso fue las bóvedas arriba, y esta casa en particular es de tapia pisada, tierra compactada, sistema constructivo como si hiciéramos vigas o adobes en sitio. Entonces nada más se pone un encofrado y sobre ese encofrado se pisona y en sitio se hacen los muros. O hacer ya viviendas masivas, el cual todo con este sistema constructivo, igual con los acabados de cal, o a veces de departamentos, aunque sea el mismo departamento, pero diseñado de diferente manera. Se puede hacer el cambio de planos en las bóvedas gaussas, empezamos a una altura y terminamos en otra, nos podemos apoyar directamente sobre los muros de ladrillo y siguiendo la geometría. También podemos apoyarlos en unas impostas en piedra, no necesariamente tienen que ser sistemas más sofisticados como acero, a veces con texturas, y pues podemos lograr también diferentes matices, el manejo a partir de colocar un ladrillo sobre otro sin ninguna cimbra ni un elemento adicional. En este proceso que he ido desarrollando y trabajando con comunidades, me quería presentar este proyecto en la Boca de Mitla, en una parte arqueológica aquí en Oaxaca, en el cual hay unas pinturas rupestres en unas cuevas y se hace una cañada. En la parte baja lo que hicimos fue trabajar con la comunidad. Ellos recolectaron las piedras durante un tiempo y después ellos mismos fueron los albañiles, los constructores, son los baños secos para poder recibir a la gente. Entonces creo que es muy importante este trabajo social que se puede también desarrollar en las comunidades. Hemos hecho talleres con maquetas, a veces en las escuelas taller, en este caso en la escuela taller de Boyacá con la arquitecta Nancy Camacho. Y después lo que decidimos viendo que podíamos desarrollar este tipo de talleres, hicimos ahora durante la pandemia hacer el seminario Volver a la Tierra 8 a partir de unas conferencias virtuales y los talleres también los hicimos virtuales. De tal manera que en cada país ellos tenían sus adobitos y podíamos desarrollamos más bien 7 talleres transmitidos desde Brasil, en El Salvador, Argentina, México y Colombia. Y lo que hicimos fue hacer maquetas virtuales, donde cada quien podía construirlas en lugar, en sitio, y desde el otro lado transmitíamos en vivo. Entonces fue una manera de adaptarnos a esta pandemia como ahora lo estamos haciendo aquí en vivo. Y pues para terminar, pues quiero dedicarle esta charla a todos los doctores que hoy no están en su casa por estar en los hospitales o en la primera línea de fuego. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Ramón. Daniele, I know that you were in somewhat of a hurry at some point. In theory, we still had another presentation to go. The thing is that Manuel Iturralde was unable had technical problems, just like Nguyen is having. So he sent over an audio of his presentation, but I don't know if like these things of like improvising like this are not don't feel very confident. So I don't know, maybe if you have to get going, we could move on to questions, and then maybe at the end put the audio once you have to go, or I don't know how you're doing of time availability. Sorry for this.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have 20-25 minutes now.
Okay, so I don't know what the rest of the colleagues think, but maybe we can get into this conversation now, 20 minutes, and then maybe after we can play the audio. You think so?
Thank you very much, and sorry for my timing.
No. Thank you very much, Daniele. So, Nguyen, so let's start. I don't know if anyone has picked up any questions that they would want to bring forward, o si hay algunas preguntas para alguno, tanto en inglés como en español, para alguna de las ponencias que hemos tenido hasta ahora.
I have a question for Daniel, but I would like to give the microphone to someone else first, because I'm more close to the organization team. It's okay, Lorenzo, if I do the question? Okay.
Claro.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for the presentation, Daniele. It was beautiful to see all the work that you have done. Amazing. You say so many interesting things. That one of the things that my name is Vicente Sandoval. I'm speaking from Berlin, the Freie Universität Berlin. I'm a researcher on disaster research from the social science perspective. And I work a lot in informal settlements and in the global south, particularly in Latin America and the Caribbean region. And when you mentioned that this spontaneous creativity is equally rich, both in the globe and in this global south and in the north, I found it very, very interesting. But I was wondering what is the path, or we say in Espanol, el destino, the destiny, the end, what happened with these designs, with this product, with these solutions over the time, how they evolve, and if you have seen what is the destiny of this product. I mean, when they are good enough, someone from the market, some capitalist pick it and commercialize it and reproduce it, or they just death or finish, or they are replace it. If you can tell us a little bit more about that, would be amazing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for the question first. And I know your university because when I worked in TU Delft, I know because also we had the Department of Social Architectural Studies, and I think that many universities in the northern part of Europe working deeply on this kind of concept between sociality and architecture, and also in Milan Politecnico, the name of the faculty is Sociality and Architecture, and it's very, very interesting. Well, yeah, I don't really know the end of the project because it starts and after change in terms of work, no? Change by itself. First objective is to make readable and understandable and available to all the people who contribute the contribution of the other. This was the first, because I spent close to 300 copies of my two books, Low Cost Design Volume 1 and Volume 2, to give them to the people who go, oh, wow, nice. Thank you, welcome. Giving them to the people who contribute. And this was the first. The second objective was to make possible that people really understand their own power to change. And in terms of democracy of the project, it's very interesting because they need to understand really their own power. and to understand also that their own personal power works together with the power of the other. I have an example. When I took part in the new plan, the urban plan of Rotterdam South 10 years ago. And we introduced ourselves together with many associations as a filter between the building constructing company and the municipality, okay? In a participatory project, no? And before we engage this kind of collaboration, people of the neighborhoods thinks, okay, we have to plan, the municipality has to plan 10,000 square meters, okay? We are 10,000. Where is my square meters? Okay, this is what's happened before. They understand their own power together. And it's only an example. In the design, it's the same, I think, also in architecture. When people understand the power to transform becomes more politically independent by the market and by many things. Second is to invite people to reuse. This is the second objective. To don't buy new stuffs and to work on the low-cost design concept that is replan the object. And sometimes, for the students, I say many times, plan an object that have to become available also after the death of the object itself. Huh? Pre-study all, not you design an object and after you put on the waste and finish. No, projecting, designing, and reuse exactly when you program and you project the object. I think those one are the two ways. The second is also to push some people who invent something to trying to produce. Maybe small production, maybe trying to sell their own ideas to other, maybe to companies. You know, the problem, I work a lot on patents in my life, and patents lives in a sort of mythology, no? In a coffee shop, you say you speak about one, and you say you hear stories, no? Oh, this person has patent an object, now is a millionaire. No, it's not anymore in this way. Maybe sometimes about some technological use of stuff or technological invention maybe happen, but now first before patent you need to have an idea of the distribution of your object if you want to interact with the market, no? And maybe we suggest to many people who invent something to diffuse their own idea to other, to exchange this kind of idea, maybe to have not a direct product, a direct exchange with the money, for example, no? But to create something maybe that have the possibility to change the life of many different people in the neighborhood, for example. I know it's a big limit because sometimes we were consultant for companies or we were consultant for university, but we try all the time to don't say to the producer of an object, take inspiration by this only. Don't make it, okay? This is different. You have to learn about the concept of these objects, revealed by the object. Not to do it is different way. And also, those kind of suggestions by the people represented material needs probably about objects not produced in the market. And you know that companies, they produce by themselves. Don't ask to us to produce, to me, to you, or to the neighborhood people. They produce and stop. Don't have a relationship with the other people, no, when they decide to produce. Maybe we create in a sort of suggestions to produce better, to produce in the best way, to produce maybe in a different way. At the contrary, we have not possibility to have direct interaction with the market, but this is. Oh, sorry. About the second part, the part of the action, we use the second part of the action to sensibilize many municipalities. This is important. Because when you find many different solutions about people who plan by themselves service and needs on the territory, we collect all together and we go directly to the municipality. And this is very, very, very useful because they understand more than private producer, for example, that they have the possibility to do something together.
Thanks so much.
Oh, you hear me? Okay, see.
Okay, I will also offer the floor if someone else has other questions to Daniel or someone else.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Daniele, I wanted to ask you a question. Well, it's 3 questions just in case you have to leave. And so we get your questions before because Nguyen had some questions for Ramón. So just in case, I'll make my questions first, and just in case you have to go. I would like to know, first of all, what's the current state of the project? Like, are you still working in low-cost design? Are you still receiving pictures of these kind of designs? And how is the process of you gathering the information nowadays? Second, I wanted to know, why did you think it was a good idea to do a book? And how did it come about? Like, how were you able to convert this project in a 2-part book, or maybe a 3-part book, or whatever? I don't know in the future if you're planning on doing more volumes. And third question, I'm sorry, what kind of things do you remember from when you were in Cuba? Like, is there something related to your project that was available or was present in Cuba when you were there? So those would be my 3 first questions, but because I would ask many more, but I think that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I started from the first, and now I don't work anymore for universities in the sense that I stopped my contract with the 4 universities which I collaborate. I collaborate only with the University of Denver and the Faculty of Anthropology now, but as a sort of personal relationship with the professor who enlightened me. And for this reason, I abandoned part of the project because many people continue to send me pictures and many suggestions about, but I don't want to do books anymore. And now I have 3 projects about spontaneous communication on the cities. One is Anarchetiquette. There is a website also, anarchetiquette.org. Maybe I write in the group. And I restart with this kind of process. There is the conservation of spontaneous communication in the cities. But in general, I think that I really don't know the way to continue the project, because now is huge, becomes huge. The exhibition is in my depot, as a lot of was shown in many places. I think it would be very, very nice to redo it, because people gives their own contributes, and also the exhibition become a sort of forum. It's a permanent forum during, for example, 3 months, in which people comes and speaks about the future of projecting. And also was also a very cheap exhibition, because it cost 99 cents per square meters per day. And was low-cost design also the concept of the exhibition, and also to invite the public administration to continue the project. But really, now I think that I have the possibility to have all the rights of my pictures are in my hand, not in the hand of my publisher. And I want to donate to maybe someone who wants to create a database, a website. I have no problems in general. I'm really, really free about it. and because I think that maybe will be useful to the students or to the people to increase their own consciousness about the spontaneous creativity. And for this reason, if you know someone who wants to have my pictures, are all for free, first. And second, my publisher, that is one of the best publishers in Europe, and Silvano Editoriale, pushed me to do the number 3 or 4, but I decided to don't do it. And the goal was an absolutely international distribution. This was the real goal of the books, because it's present in Iceland, also as in the island Away, in the Way Island, very, very distributed. And after 10 years, we reprint for 12 times. And well, I have no rights, because I don't have gains about rights, because I changed the rights gains with the international distribution. Was a contract between me and the publisher. I prefer to distribute the books worldwide in all the bookshops of the world, instead to have the money. I have no 1 cent by low-cost design books in the last 10 years, never. And the reason is because I want also to maintain my positions not so attached to the. I don't like the money in general. Okay, this is one of my problems. But the third question is, I was in Cuba and I remember incredible example of spontaneous creativity when I was there. I have a big tour because I was in Cuba 2 times, 25 years ago, and I spent 1 month and 1 month in another way, no? 2 months each, 1 month and 1 month. But in 25 years ago, low-cost design was not started. For this reason, I have no pictures. And I remember incredible stuffs, incredible objects. But this is one of my problems. When Lorenzo called me, spoke to me about Cuba, I think, oh, unfortunately, I have no pictures. And well, probably I already tell to Lorenzo I want to go there and I want to stay in Cuba maybe 1 month to refresh my consciousness about the spontaneous creativity in the island, because I think that if I remember, you have a great culture in terms of reuse. Maybe you were forced also to this, but you have also a great poetical skills. And I theorize the spontaneous creativity is a mix between poetical skills and technical skills. For this reason, I think that in Cuba I will find incredible things, and maybe also to give these suggestions available to all and free to use, free to see, and free to inspire students, because I think that we have to inspire students, because at the contrary, I had many students in the Faculty of Anthropology of Denver that go to the course of anthropology, but not to study anthropology, to go to work in the marketing. and well, okay, it's a new way maybe, but we have also to conserve what is nice about the anthropology. Well, is a sort of deviation, I think. And well, maybe with the design, we made the same, no? We invite students to be inspired by design, not to have the regular path of the designer, study and producing. Maybe not. We have also other way, no? Maybe they have the possibility to produce, but in other way, maybe they are inspired to produce better. Okay, finish.
Thank you very much. It was, I think, a very good and very inspiring answer. Thank you so much, Daniele.
We will see probably in Cuba, because I'm just waiting to stop off, because I have not the possibility to move, and I'm a big traveler, and I spent traveling 60% of my life, and now I'm forced in a sort of cage in Italy now. What, as always.
Well, next time we go there, we'll definitely tell you, and hopefully you can come also with us. Thank you, Daniele. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, now we will continue with other questions that we have. I need to tell you that we are approaching the end of this session. We have like 12, 30 minutes, and there two questions actually for Ramón. Ramón, hay dos preguntas para ti. And also there is one question for Ángela. Ángela, hay una pregunta también para ti. Voy a pedirte, Ramón, ¿me escuchas? Quizás, bueno, muy breve, quizás te voy a interrumpir para que alcancemos a abordar la pregunta para Ángela también, ¿ok?
Correcto.
Es una pregunta que hace Nguyen y esta es para Ramón, que dice, ¿con qué tipo de población trabajan en los talleres? ¿Y cuáles eran las mayores vulnerabilidades en estas zonas o comunidades?
Sí, muchas gracias. Una disculpa, me di cuenta que tenía desconfigurada la cámara de aquí de la computadora y eso fue el que no podía entrar. Pero bueno, la pregunta es, normalmente cuando trabajamos en comunidades, es directamente con la gente. Puede ser en la sierra, puede ser en la costa o en las ciudades, en la metrópoli. O sea, el sistema constructivo se puede adaptar a cualquier lugar. Entonces, eso es un sistema constructivo milenario y lo único que trato de hacer es de recuperar estos sistemas constructivos que se hacen a partir de estos materiales combustibles que nos han vendido. Y la parte más difícil que no es vulnerable, es muchas veces cuando se hacen las construcciones de adobe, tienen que estar muy bien impermeabilizadas porque el agua las destruye. Y en lugares sísmicos, a veces le tenemos que poner una malla encima para que hacer todos estos ladrillos se hagan monolíticos, porque muchas veces son pegados por estudiantes, por gente que no tiene la habilidad o la destreza de los albañiles. Tenemos que tener un factor de riesgo seguro para que por lo menos estos sistemas no fallen a partir de que lo haga una persona que no es experta. Entonces hay que tener muchísimo cuidado en ese proceso. Perdón, Vicente, no te escuchamos.
Perdón, estaba con el audio cerrado. Pregunta también Nguyen, continuando esa conversación, ¿por qué era vital trabajar con la población y no con los diseñadores?
Porque lo que pretendíamos en este momento era que la gente, los que lo van a construir, los que lo van a aplicar directamente en la obra, fueran las personas que pudieran transmitirlo directamente. Porque si se trabajaba con los técnicos o los diseñadores, muchas veces llevan ese sistema constructivo a explicarlo a su ciudad, a su comunidad, a su departamento, y no pudiera replicarse, porque después de ver que sí se podían hacer, dirían, ¿quién lo va a construir? Fue lo que pretendimos con el PNUD, que se desarrollara directamente en la zona, y que el albañil, el alarife, la persona que nunca hubiera construido esto, tuviera esta apropiación para poderlo replicar después.
Muy bien, gracias. Gracias, Ramón. La pregunta que tenemos para... ¿Esta otra para Ramón? No,
Ángela.
Para Ángela. Es de una persona que hace esta pregunta a través de YouTube y pregunta, ¿cómo está la situación de la comunidad LGTBI en Cuba y cuáles son los mayores retos de la comunidad ahora mismo? Si nos podrías profundizar un poco en eso. No te escuchamos, Ángela. Ups, Ángela se fue. Se cayó. Su señal. Bueno, mientras esperamos a que regrese, nos quedan todavía unos minutitos. Ofrezco la palabra a cualquier otra persona, que aprovechando que veo que está Daniele todavía aquí, si es que quieren hacer una última pregunta, o también a los invitados si les gustaría hacer alguna especie de remarcar algo. I'm inviting any of these panelists or also the guests that are in the conversation now. If we have like 8 minutes, if you want to do a remarks, or do you want to ask something to our panelists, the floor is yours.
Sorry. And I would like to, I have to leave now. And I would like, first of all, to say thank you, because it's a very interesting project. I'm looking for your work on internet, and I think it's something that gives some hopes to people and to us to work in the best way, because, well, working without hopes is not nice. And I think we have to contribute together to this. First. Second, I say thank you. And third, I would like to remain in touch with you in some ways. And if it's possible, maybe we write separately with personal addresses and something, because, well, I'm traveling a lot, but maybe you, if it would be possible to move another time, you are welcome in Italy, and we have a base in Ibiza also, and, well, maybe, and we hope to stay in touch. Okay? Well,
Okay, thank you so much, Daniele.
Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
continuiamo in questo modo. Hasta la victoria siempre.
Yeah.
Okay. Bueno. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Chao. Chao, chao,
Chao,
chao.
chao,
Gracias a
chao.
ti.
Gracias, Daniel. Ah, mira, Ángela, parece que has podido volver. Creo que había una pregunta. Había una pregunta, no sé si la llegaste a escuchar o si quieres que te la
Sí, por
repita.
favor, repítanla porque en ese momento me fui.
¿Me escuchas, Ángela? Sí. Preguntaba a alguien en YouTube cuál es la situación actual de la comunidad LGTBI en Cuba y cuáles son los mayores retos que tienen como comunidad.
Bueno, la
¿Cómo lo
verdad
ves
es
tú?
que, como lo veo yo, claro está. Yo creo que hay muy poca protección de los marcos legales. Quizás ha habido más actividades, digamos, educativas dirigidas a la población en general, pero eso no se ha revertido en legislaciones que realmente nos protejan o que garanticen nuestros derechos. A pesar de que, por ejemplo, en el campo de la salud quizás hay algunas garantías más para, por ejemplo, las personas trans, pero más allá de eso no. Es como lo veo. Ahora quizás con la nueva constitución, donde hay artículos que hablan explícitamente de, bueno, de que la discriminación por orientación sexual e identidad de género está explícitamente prohibida en la Constitución, pero a la vez la Constitución también ha puesto el venidero código, la venidera actualización del Código de las Familias a referendo popular, del Código de las Familias, donde se va a decidir sobre el matrimonio para todas las personas o el matrimonio igualitario, va a ser llevado a referendo popular. Toda la población va a votar sobre nuestro derecho de acceder al matrimonio, y eso ya, digamos que yo lo veo en contradicción con la propia letra de la Constitución. Entonces, ahora mismo estamos viendo cómo nos organizamos quizás desde el activismo para este momento de la actualización del código, que ya lo tenemos encima. Y tenemos ahí la presión muy fuerte de los grupos de iglesias antiderechos, de las iglesias fundamentalistas cristianas, y que de hecho durante la Constitución hicieron muchísima presión y lograron que el matrimonio, bueno, pues fuera decidido en el Código de las Familias y que se cambiara incluso la forma en que se articuló el matrimonio en la Constitución, y ahora pues también están organizándose, lo sabemos, y lo que viene yo creo que va a ser fuerte. Eso.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Ángela. Bueno, creo que con esto ya podemos cerrar. No sé si, Lorenzo, ¿tienes algunas últimas palabras o...?
Yo creo que no, nada, sumarme. Muchísimas gracias, Ángela. Muchísimas gracias, Ramón.
Gracias a ustedes.
A Daniele, que no está ahí. Una pena que Manuel al final no haya podido llegar, pero de verdad que muchísimas gracias por traer como voces tan distintas de proyectos tan diversos y distintos frentes. Muchísimas gracias.
Bueno, agradecer también a todas las personas que nos han estado viendo y que han hecho preguntas y que han participado. También a la gente de la TU Berlín, a Peter Fischer por ayudarnos con la presentación, con toda la parte técnica. So thanks so much and have a good evening or day, wherever you are in the world. And mucho gusto, un placer.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.
Gracias.